Hey guys, my name is David. I just wanted to do a quick overview on FL Studio. Just wanted to show you guys kind of how the workflow is inside of this DAW, what the different things mean, what the buttons are. Just kind of a quick overview so that you can see what you're getting into and yeah, just have a decent understanding. I know that it took me a very long time to have a handle on everything. So, this is going to be a general overview, nothing too in depth. And if there is anything that you want me to dive into, please let me know in the comments below. Without further ado, here we go. So, before we dig into FL Studio as a program, I just wanted to go over really quickly what a DAW is. A DAW is a digital audio workshop, DAW, and pretty much the big three that I always hear get thrown around are FL Studio, Ableton, and Logic Pro. Personally, like I said in the intro, I use excuse me, I use FL Studio. I've used it for 3.5 years now. I love it. It's a great DAW. It does everything that I need it to. I've never used Ableton though, and I know that some people prefer that. It's just preference. Logic Pro, this is only on Mac, so I run on Windows. I can't use this. This is kind of what people consider to be the quote unquote industry standard. Pretty much what that means is that's the one that they prefer. So there's not really a wrong answer here on which one to get. They all have a free trial. Logic Pro is obviously only going to be on Mac. Ableton Live, you can try it for free. Same with FL Studio. You can try it for free, get that free download on Windows or Mac, whichever one you want, and then you can upgrade it from there. FL Studio has different versions. You can buy the Fruity Edition, Producer, Signature, or All Plugins Edition. Personally, I use the Producer Edition. I spent $200 on it, and it's fantastic. It does everything that I need it to. Some of the plugins that are included, I can't actually use because I don't have the Signature or All Plugins Edition, but I've always been able to either find a similar plugin or just buy that individual plugin by itself. So that's just kind of a quick overview on the different DAWs out there. There's a lot more than that, but that's just off the top of my head. FL Studio, Ableton, and then Logic Pro. So pick your poison. Now, if we go into FL Studio, let's go ahead and do that. Once it pulls up, we're going to have this screen. This is what you're always going to see. It's always going to open like this unless you tell it not to. So right off the bat, it can be a little bit overwhelming, especially if you've never opened it. Up here on the top left, you have your file, edit, all these different drop downs. That's pretty standard to any program. Moving over to this little dial, that's a volume knob. Then up here, we got this little switcher. It'll switch it from the pattern that we're working on to the song as a whole. You got the play, the stop, record. This 140, that's a tempo, so I can adjust that however I want to. I can type it in, I can tap it in if I have a pad, I can just use one of these pre-selected ones, whatever you want to do. The tempo and these buttons here, I don't use a lot of these upper buttons. Some of them I've never personally needed to use, so I don't. These ones on the right, I've used these a handful of times. This little chat bubble, you can click that and it'll bring up the details for the songs or the project that you're working on. This one is just render as audio file, so then it would render out what you're doing as an MP3 or a wave, and then this one is just your save button. So there's a lot up here that I haven't really used a ton, and somebody else could probably tell you what it is a little bit better than me. So moving on to the actual program itself, this part up here, this is called the channel rack. This is where you add plugins, you add instruments, and you basically just make your patterns. That's where it is. This one here, let me go back. This plus button, you can add plugins through this button. That's what all of these are. These are all plugins. So if I click on Flex, this is one that I like to use. It's free. It comes with FL Studio. Really great plugin. It's a great synthesizer. So over here on the left, these are all different sound packs, and over here on the right are the different sounds within these packs. So for example, this is Arc Sun Cityscape. Let's try 80s theater. A little bit dystopian, a little bit cyberpunk. That's kind of what this whole pack sounds like. So anyways, this is just a synthesizer. Those are the different things inside of there. If I wanted to add sound packs that I downloaded off the internet or whatever, I can put them right here. So that will take us to our next section. This on the left side is the file browser. This is essentially the same thing as your computer file browser. So if I click on this, let me drag it over. This is your computer file browser, as you know, and I can access my documents, pictures, all that good stuff. That's what this is. It's just built into FL Studio, and it's condensed only for the things that are valuable within FL Studio. So these are your current project files, like your history, patterns, all that good stuff. Plugin database. This is this same list. It's just out here on here. The ones that I use the most, packs. This is the ones that came with FL Studio. These are the drums that came with it. All the stock instruments, sound effects, risers, so on and so forth. My projects. This is not all of my projects. These are just the ones that I have in this folder inside of my file browser. The one that I use the most by far is my sample library. This is where I will put all of my downloaded sound packs off of the internet. I'll put them in here, and then as you can see, I have several different folders, and I can go inside of here. I can click on one. Let's try this Metro Boom and drum kit, and then I have my 808s, crashes, open hat, so on and so forth. So let's say that I wanted to use, let's grab a snare. I can come in here. These are all different MP3 and WAV files. Cool. Let's say I like this snare number 10. I can drag it and I can drop it up here in the channel rack, or if I just wanted to use it in the playlist, I could drop it down here. The difference is that down here in the playlist, as you can see, it dropped it in as the WAV file itself. If I drop it up here, it'll do the same thing, except now I can add it to a pattern and it'll play it. See that pattern clicker? If I switch it to song and then press play, it's going to play down here, and it'll loop just as far as you've made. This button right here on the channel rack, this is what it's going to look like right off the bat for you, is like this with these pegs, and this is beat 1, beat 2, beat 3, and beat 4. I like to use it on this other thing. This is called the piano roll because this gives me a better sense of control. I can open this up and I can use C5, which is the standard one. Then I could go up an octave, makes it higher, go down an octave, makes it lower. Pretty straightforward. If we move down to the playlist, that's what this is. Playlist has a couple different options. Over here on the left, these are the different things that you can drop into the playlist. So this is your pattern picker. Pattern 1 is what this is up here. This channel rack right here will build pattern 1. Then I can take pattern 1 and I can drop it into the playlist. So if I was to add a bunch of different snare hits all over the place inside of the channel rack, suddenly they've appeared here because this is pattern 1 and this is pattern 1. You can make new patterns with this plus button. We'll just call this pattern 2. And then if I click on pattern 1, shows all of this. Click on pattern 2, that goes away because it's a brand new pattern that I have not changed yet. So that's the playlist. That's a very quick and dirty version of the pattern picker. This right here, this is the audio clips. So that snare drum sample that I dropped in here a second ago, it dropped it into the audio clips section. So you got the patterns, you got the audio clips. I can click more of these in here and it stores the ones that I have in the project right here. This is the automation clip. You can use automation to control different knobs and different values across all of FL Studio. So let me show you one. Let me zoom in on this snare pattern. I can move this around. If you click on this little icon right up here, it gives me a drop down. These are all different settings you can use with this. Automation, let's automate the volume. Then it drops in this volume multiplier. And this automatically controls the volume for this sound. So I can drag it down to 0. I can adjust this. If you right click, you can add new points. So if I wanted to be real crazy with it, I could do something like that. And this is the volume, so it'd be loud, quiet again. And it stores this multiplier right here. Oops. So see what I did? I accidentally canceled out the playlist. These buttons here are the ones that'll bring that back up. So this one says view playlist. I can click on that and it'll bring it back up. So if I was to erase that multiplier, don't panic. You can find it right here in this automation clip and I can drop it back in. So that's what that does. This on the right side, this is your volume mixer, or I'm sorry, this is your mixing board, and we can make this full screen. So I can tie individual sounds, individual patterns to these mixing channels, and then all of these mixing channels on the right plug into this main one, which is called the master. So if I wanted to add any effects or maybe monitors or compression or just whatever, I would do that on this page, on the mixer. So if I wanted to add, we'll just say a EQ, that's where I would add it. I can adjust these knobs. This is for the audio sample itself. So, and I can do in-depth tutorials on all that if you'd like. Just let me know what you guys are interested in. So that's just kind of a very brief overview of everything in here. FL Studio, it can be very overwhelming if you don't know what you're looking at. And like I said, it's taken me 3.5 years, and there's still a lot of things in here that I don't know how to do. But I'm learning every day, and as long as you keep at it, you will learn just as much as I have and more. So keep it up. That's going to wrap up this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to any of your other new producer friends. Thanks. My name is David. Peace out.